Okay, this is very similar to the problems we just did, except for we also are going to be graphing these on a number line. So we need to start by getting the x by, there's only one x, we need to get it by itself by adding the 81 first. Okay, a negative and a positive, since the negative is bigger, is going to give me a negative answer. I believe that's going to be a negative 16. I'm sorry, that's actually a negative 24. And that's why calculators are good. You either got to work it out or use a calculator. And then to get rid of this, remember the negative 4 is being multiplied by x, so I need to divide both sides by negative 4. And when I divide, I change the direction of the inequality, so that becomes an x instead of a less than. It's going to change to a greater than, and then a negative divided by negative is a positive 6. So when I go to type my inequality, I just do an x. And if you got a keyboard, you can pull the greater than or the key on the keyboard, or you could just use that there. 6. So x is greater than 6. Now, this is like what we did last week, where you click the point you want at 6 and pull it all the way to the arrow. And then to make that an open circle, you can click it and make it the open circle it needs to, since it did not have an equal to. If that was a greater than or equal to, it would say closed circle, just the greater than, an open circle. We might try another one of these. Okay, this one, what we have is we need to get the x by itself. So we're going to need to start by adding 61. Before you worry about the number that's the coefficient right in front of the x, get rid of the other number. So that means 6x is less than or equal to, and the sign will be the sign of the larger number, so it's going to be a positive, in this case a positive 6. Then remember that 6 in front is being multiplied by x, so divide both sides by 6, and that gives me an x is less than or equal to 1. When you go to type that in, make sure you type in your x, then do your less than or equal to 2 sign. You need to use the button. You probably won't be able to get that from your keyboard, and there's your 1. Now, since it's a less than, we need to be shading to the left. So I'm going to click on the 1, go all the way to the left at the end of that arrow, and then a less than or equal to is going to be have an open circle there, closed circle there. It should be a closed circle because it's a less than or equal to. But if I needed an open circle, clicking it would change it. In this case, it's a closed circle. Okay, let's go ahead and look at one of the next examples. Okay, these you do not have to graph, but you can tell these are a little bit longer of a problem, so I have some things I need to simplify first. So I'm going to start by simplifying over here. I'm going to take the entire negative 4, remember the negative sign goes with the 4, and multiply it through. So I have a negative 4, a negative times a negative is a positive 8d, a negative times a negative is a positive 16, less than or equal to a d, and then a 4 minus 9 is a negative 5. One more thing I could simplify over here is my like terms. So I go ahead and do an 8d, and then negative 4 plus 16 should be 12, less than or equal to d minus 5. Now at this point, when both sides are simplified, it's time to get all the variables together. So that means I'll need to subtract d from both sides. If it helps you, you can think of that as a 1d. There's always an understood 1 in front of a positive d. So that gives me a 7d plus 12 is less than or equal to negative 5. Then I'll need to subtract 12 from both sides, because to get the d by itself, I need to move those numbers first. I'll rewrite this up here because I'm about out of room. 7d is less than or equal to a negative 5, and a negative 12 would have been a negative 17. Then I divide both sides by 7. Since I'm dividing by a positive number, the sign does not change, and it's a negative 17 over 7. So your answer should be a D. Change that to a less than or equal to, and then negative 17 over 7. These basically turn into the same thing you were doing earlier. You just have some distributing through a parenthesis or some like terms to combine. And then once we got to about this point right here, it was a whole lot like the problems we were looking at earlier. So just an extra step on the front end. But we should submit that answer, and that should be correct. And you can reach out if you have any other questions.